Hi friends, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that might be new here, hi, welcome. My name is Megan. I'm just your average thrifty bargain hunter turned full-time reseller, and recently I started documenting my journey here on YouTube, and I'm so glad to have you. Today, we're chatting Depop, all things Depop. Hold on, let me turn my heater off. And before we get into it, no, this is not a sponsored video. Depop is not sponsoring this video. This is my opinions, experience, and tips for selling on the platform as someone who has really seen an increase in Depop sales in the last 6 months. So let's just jump right into it. So first I want to start off with why Depop. Like I said, Depop has quickly become my favorite platform, and I think that has a lot to do with the buyers on Depop. Audience on Depop, I would say, is typically a lot younger than the audience on Poshmark or eBay, and they are looking for things based on aesthetic over brand, at least for the majority of the time. Not to say that brand named items won't sell for what they are, but in my experience, things that I have a lot of luck selling are selling either unbranded or brands that are typically not a good brand, or perhaps a brand that would have little to no attention on other platforms, gets a lot of attention on Depop for what the garment itself looks like. So style-based pickups are a big part of my Depop sourcing. I love sourcing for Depop because if you're a fellow millennial like me, Y2K is huge on Depop and has been for a little while now, and I don't see it going anywhere, at least anytime soon. So sourcing for Depop, at least for the foreseeable future, will continue to be very nostalgic for me, and I love that because a lot of the things that I find, I'm like, oh, this is so cute, I would have loved this back in the day. When you're sourcing on Depop, my best tip for Depop is things that are trendy, maybe things that are vintage, or things that are fit the Y2K aesthetic. We're going to talk about creating a standout listing, how to get your things seen on Depop. And I think the first thing that I would say, the thing that I do that I think helps my listings, is I white out the background of every single photo. I don't do this for just Depop. I am cross-listing to Poshmark, eBay, Depop, Mercari, and my own website now for the majority of the items. So everything looks the same on all my platforms. I'm not just tailoring this specifically to Depop, but I do think it does help you stand out on Depop. In order to erase the backgrounds of my photos, I use Photo Room, and I do pay for Photo Room Pro, I think it's called. I want to say it's like $9.99 a month or maybe $10 a year. I don't remember. I do know it's a fee, but it's worth it to me, and I do think that it greatly helps my items to, one, look clean and professional on any platform they're on, and two, it helps them to stand out in Google's SEO search. So if someone is typing in on Google, we'll just say green Nike t-shirt size large Depop, your listing for your green Nike t-shirt on Depop has a much better shot of coming up in the search results for Google if your background is white. Google prefers, like, I don't know if it's the algorithm or if it's just their SEO, prefers things that have a white background and kind of like matches the rest of Google. So you will have a greater shot of being seen that way as well if you have taken the extra step to white out your backgrounds. Now, I don't white out every single photo in the listing. Typically I only white out the first photo and the second photo, which 9 times out of 10 are the front of the garment and the back of the garment. Now with shoes, I will go ahead and white out every single photo, almost every single photo. But for like clothing pieces, typically it's the front and the back of the garment that I'm whiting out one photo of, and those are the first 2 photos that are going to come up in my listing. Something important, I think, when you're creating like a standout listing on Depop is to photograph the tag, the size, and the fabric makeup if those things are available. If not, then I would write that in words in the description so you don't get 1,000 questions about those things. And as well in the description, noting any flaws. I don't leave flaws to just like the photos to describe the flaws. So if there was like a giant hole in a garment, I wouldn't just take a photo of it and leave it at that. I also be sure to write it in the description. And again, this goes for across all platforms, but it's just a good habit to get in. Also on Depop, this is something I don't personally do, but if you are so inclined, I do really think it would help your listings to stand out, modeling the garments. If you notice on Depop, a lot of people model everything they're selling, and I truly think that is a way that a small, at least, portion of Depop buyers buy things based on what it looks like on you and how they think it will fit them in comparison in their brain. I've had people reach out to me and say, can you show me a picture of this on? I want to see what it looks like, if it's tight, if it's loose fitting, and I don't want to get my measuring tape out because all of my listings have the measurements in the photos. And so they had seen the measurements, knew they were there, knew what size the garment was because it had a size tag, but they still wanted me to take a picture to model it, to let them see what it looked like on me, and they could compare it to what they think it would look like on them. Do I understand that? Not really. Not really. Unless you are a model and another model is modeling the thing, I don't understand how you could compare your body to someone else's. But that does seem to be how a lot of, at least a small portion of Depop shoppers like to shop. And in my experience, when you tell them, no, sorry, it's not my size, you know, anything like that, you can't model it or you're not going to, it's not a big deal. And I've actually had people buy things still after saying, no, sorry, I can't do that, or it's not my size. So that's not like to say you're not going to sell things if you don't model them. Like I said, I don't do that. I do think though, if you are so inclined, have the time, the energy, and you want to, it might help you stand out a little bit more on Depop. So pricing. I've had people in real life say to me that they are hesitant to start selling on Depop because they think people on Depop want something for nothing and it's a bunch of lowballers and you have to list things for nothing and sell things for nothing. That has not been my experience at all on Depop. I would say I've got maybe 2 really low ball offers where I don't think the person was even like serious and they were just kind of trying to see what's the lowest I would take or something for an item. But that doesn't happen to me hardly at all on Depop. Most of the offers I get are a few dollars off asking price or $10 off my asking price. Nothing crazy, and I accept almost every offer that comes in on Depop. And we will get to offers here in a second. Don't worry, we will expound on that a little bit. But that's definitely not my experience at all. I don't think Depop is the land of lowballers. If anything, Poshmark has become the land of lowballers. And I love Depop. Not only are there not a lot of lowballers in my experience, people that are buying things on Depop are very kind. And so that's just not really something that I have experienced too much on Depop, lowballer offers or buyers or anything like that. I wish buyers on every platform were like Depop buyers. I just want to touch on price while we are chatting about creating a listing. My pricing strategy doesn't change across eBay, Depop, and Poshmark. I know that's different for some people. I'm just sharing my experience. I don't typically change prices on Depop. However, I boost every single listing on Depop. I boost it 24 hours after I've listed it. So today I will be boosting the things I listed yesterday. Tomorrow I will be boosting the things I list today. I also discount things. Once a week I will discount all of the things I listed last week. So every Monday I go through and discount all of the Depop items I listed the previous week. So I give them about a week to try and sell them or get attention without being discounted. And then after that week is up, I do discount them. I think it's 10%, and Depop sends a notification to anyone who has liked it that you've discounted it. So boosting and discounting, I think, are very important. And is it every item that I'm selling that are boosted? No. Let me actually just really quickly glance at my sales. Let's see. So I would say probably half of the items I sell are boosted and half are not. So I am not paying a boosted fee for every single sale. And at that, the boosted fee is not, it's not like 20% like Poshmark. You're not paying like huge fees on Depop like you are on other platforms. So that's why for me, I'm okay with boosting and discounting every item. And I truly think that does help your items to be seen on Depop. Not that you have to boost them, not that you have to discount them in order to make sales. This is just what I'm doing, and I've seen a huge jump in sales in the last 6 months on Depop, so perhaps these things are working. So we talked about how I discount things, how I boost things, and now I'm going to chat about how we can get your things seen a little bit more aside from boosting, listing, and having nice clean photos. So I know this is kind of like a broken record. Like we hear this all the time for resellers, from resellers, about reselling, listing consistently. I do think you have to list consistently on Depop in order to see consistent success, sales, and traction with your items and your closet. So I list every day on Depop with the exception of Saturday usually. Let me see. Yeah, usually Saturday is the day that I don't list many things. I should change that and make sure that I list at least 1 or 2 things on Saturday. And with listing consistently, I don't mean you have to list 30 things a day on Depop. I mean at least listing 1 or 2 things a day to keep your algorithm alive, happy, and well. And I should take my own advice and list 1 or 2 things a day on Saturday instead of 0. Also, when it comes to old listings, like things you've had listed on Depop for more than a few months, I would maybe revisit them and relist them with perhaps new, trendy, different keywords, because the trending colors change, the trending styles change. Sometimes we are calling things powder pink, sometimes we're calling it baby pink, sometimes we're calling it blush pink. They're all very similar colors, but some are right on trend and are searchable keywords for a lot of people in that moment, and some kind of are pushed to the wayside because they're not super ultra trendy. So looking at your items with a fresh pair of eyes a few months after you've listed it might help you to plug in some keywords and find that right buyer. Speaking of buyers, we're going to move on to sales and how you can convert offers into sales. This is actually a tip that one of you guys gave me a few months ago now here on YouTube about Depop. I have never stopped doing it since I read your comment, and I'd say single-handedly it has been the best tool for converting offers from buyers into sales. So on Depop, when you get an offer in from a buyer, they send you an offer. If you accept it, the card is not automatically charged, unfortunately, like on Poshmark, how if I was to send an offer to a seller and they accept it, instantly my card is being charged and the order is being processed. The buyer gets, or the seller gets, the shipping label, and I'm now awaiting my order. That's not the case on Depop. Even after the offer has been accepted, the buyer will then have to turn around and complete the checkout process. And that is simply what I'm letting people know after I've accepted their offer. So if you're not new here, you've heard me say this quite a few times now. If you are new here, hi, hopefully this really helps you, because this, like I said, has tremendously helped me, and I will pop it on the screen for you. After every offer that comes in on Depop that I accept, I almost instantly send this little message that just says, thank you so much for your great offer on X, Y, and Z item. I always make sure to put like part of the title of the item in there so they know what item I'm talking about, because in messages on Depop, if you're writing back and forth to a bunch of different people, you might not know what item I'm talking about, because it's not like the item shows up in the chat or something like that. So I always be sure to reference the item that they actually made an offer on as well. Let them know, 1, I accepted it, 2, they just need to complete the checkout and the purchase will be completed, and 3, I ship every day. So I let them know, I accepted your great offer. 2, you have to do something in order for the purchase to be complete. And 3, I will get it to you as quickly as I possibly can. And sometimes sometimes that message does go unanswered, and I think people are just like window shopping, hoping that you might accept your offer, seeing what you might take, and then half of the time I'm getting messages back, thanks so much, just completed the purchase, thank you so much, can't wait to get this, oh thank you, didn't realize you accepted my offer, thank you so much, and then they pay. So I truly believe that maybe even some people on Depop that are shopping don't know that you have to complete your order after your offer has been accepted. I'm I'm not a Depop shopper, so I don't know from that end how it actually looks. Perhaps I should do that one day and just really see for myself. But I would say is the number one tip that I know for a fact has had a hand in converting offers into sales. One thing that I will never let that go on Depop. I might stop boosting things. I might stop discounting things. I might change up the way I do other things, but I will never stop just sending that little message to people after they've sent an offer to me. To the person who left that in a comment, thank you endlessly, because you have greatly boosted my Depop sales and we love it. Okay. Next, shipping. I've had a few questions about shipping on Depop. For me, Depop shipping is pretty easy. In my personal opinion, they make it very easy. When you're making your listing, you do have to select shipping. And I always use Depop shipping. I don't use my own shipping. And I also don't do international shipping. So those are two things I don't do with Depop shipping. And maybe that's why I think it's easy. I use Depop shipping and I don't ship internationally. Depop makes it pretty easy, and they will like break down the shipping prices for you. I think like extra small, medium, large, and extra large. And they kind of like give you a rough estimate of like a t-shirt will be a small, jeans will be medium, things like that. And in my experience, I've never had a problem shipping on Depop. I do though ship as quickly as possible. Like if I sell something today, it will go out today. And if I've already gone to the post office that day, it will go out the next day. So I'm not waiting, long periods of time in between shipping my Depop sales. I will say though, with Depop shipping, I did have one sale. Let me tell you how expensive it was. It wasn't that expensive. One sale recently that I know I shipped, I know I dropped off, and it just never tracked. And unfortunately, I didn't hand it directly to the postman. I put it in the drop box. And so I have no receipt and no actual proof that I dropped it off. So on Depop, it never ended up tracking. And I kept getting notifications from Depop, ship your item, ship your item. And I'm like, oh no. So I messaged the buyer. I told them, if this doesn't ship within, or if this doesn't track within 48 hours, I'll just send you a refund. The entire sale was $20. So it wasn't like a huge sale, and I was okay with kind of like just counting it as a loss. And unfortunately, that's what I had to do. I don't know if I could have, and I don't think I could have like tried to get my money back any other way, because according to the post office, they never even had my item. And according to Depop, I never even shipped it. So that was one like shipping snafu, I guess, that I've had. And that was recently. That was the end of last month that happened. So like 12 days ago. But other than that, shipping on Depop is pretty easy and straightforward in my opinion, especially if you just use Depop parameter shipping. Like I said, I don't do my own shipping labels, and I don't ship internationally on Depop. Next, we're going to chat about returns and customer service on Depop. I have never had a return on Depop. Not ever, not once, not even a request. Let me knock on wood. Never even had a request to return something on Depop, which I would say is fan-freaking-tastic. That again is just letting me know the buyers on Depop are really great people, and I really wish it was the demographic. I really wish the pool of people that were shopping on Depop were shopping on Poshmark and eBay and all of the other places as well. Anyway, Depop does have buyer protected customer service though. So if I make a mistake in my listing, I'm sure that Depop would accept a return request for a buyer. But other than that, I think you're pretty protected on Depop as a seller as well. Also, another thing I've heard about Depop is people saying to really niche down on Depop and find your like niche market and only sell to those people. And I don't agree with that, because I am a person here who is listing every single thing I list on every platform on Depop. I'm not just specifically tailoring it to the vintage, Y2K, streetwear, girly pop vibes. I'm not doing that. I'm listing everything on Depop with the exception of designer and Nike, because I've seen here on YouTube and on other social media platforms that Depop has kind of like a not so great AI that is flagging real designer items and real Nike items as fake, and that puts your account, your Depop account, at risk for being banned from Depop, from selling on Depop. So just for an abundance of caution, I don't like to list designer things, even though I'm confident they're real, or even just anything Nike on Depop. Just out of abundance of caution, if that's what you're doing and you're having luck with it, take this with a grain of salt. It's just what I saw other people saying, so it kind of worried me, and I don't want to risk my Depop account because, like I said, Depop has quickly become one of, if not my favorite platform to sell on. So with that, I think we're done with this Depop video. I think I covered basically everything from sourcing, listing, shipping, returns, making sales. If I missed anything, please leave a comment below, and maybe we can like crowdsource the answer together and help each other out, help each other grow on my, dare I say it, favorite platform. Anyway, if you took the time to watch this video and you spent your social media currency with me today, I so appreciate you. And if you wouldn't mind just hitting like on the way out, that would be awesome. I'll see you next time, friends. Bye.